Do you know someone who doesn't have anything going on for themselves and they try to be all up in your business? I mean, all up in your Kool-Aid with no sugar, all up in your rice with no gravy, all up in your A and B conversation and can't see their way out. And the only way that you shut them up is when you do the total opposite of what they think you should be doing. They tell you like Beyonce to go to the left, but you go to the right. They tell you to look down, but you look up. Now, see, sometimes your association can bring frustration, humiliation, and condemnation. Some people live for the moment, but look at your neighbor and tell them that I'm in this for the long haul. See, some people don't understand where you're headed and they are not acquainted with your vision. And since they're not acquainted with your vision, they don't know that you're on a mission. The very ones who are hanging on to you can end up being a leech and want to suck all the hopes, dreams, and desires right out of you. As a matter of fact, the very ones who are sucking the life out of you may just want to be you. They can see where you're headed and they know that you got it going on and they want to attach themselves to you and follow you and emulate you. But the God that I serve said that he created us in his own image. You do know he's a carpenter, right? Here's what he did for me. He took a piece of scrap paper and drew a blueprint. He then took some dirt in his workshop and created a foundation. And from that foundation, he created a framework which consists of the structure of my bones. He then filled in the gaps by adding ligament and muscle tissue. Then the carpenter carved me to his liking, shaped me in his desire, and finished me in his will. And if he did that, then can nobody be me but me. So as we look at the text, not only are the disciples following Jesus, but the Pharisees are following him as well. I'm perplexed. But isn't it something when your haters follow you? They can't stand you, but they can't afford not being connected to you. Look, the Pharisees are following Jesus and are trying to find something to accuse him of. They're trying to find a reason to take him out. In verse number 2 in Matthew 12, the Pharisees tried to flex their muscle and tell Jesus that the disciples were committing an unlawful act while eating heads of grain on the Sabbath. Young folk, and Jesus took a passage of Ray Sherman and told them that this was a no-flex zone. And they know better than to come at him like that. See, my daughter Raina would try to test the water sometime. She would try to get away with certain things. So if I tell her no to something, she turns around and does it again. There are consequences to her actions. So if I tell her no for a second time, and she knows that she cannot play with the iPad or watch Yo Gabba Gabba on TV. See, Jesus is in no different situation. He has already shared with the Pharisees that they need to step off. But they keep on following him and his disciples. And now they come to the synagogue, this house of prayer, this assembly, this church. And while service is going on, Jesus sees a man. Have you ever felt like someone was looking at you? Have you ever had that Michael Jackson moment where it always seems like somebody's watching me? But what were you doing when the eyes were on you? What was the man doing when Jesus laid his eyes on him? See, the text says that there was a man there with a shriveled hand. You know, sometimes we try to hide our issues, try to hide things that are not favorable to us or about us. So how did Jesus know that the man had a shriveled hand? I wanted to submit to you that the man was in church getting his praise on. I mean, I feel he was having a Holy Ghost party. He was praising God in the midst of his misfortune. You see, there was nothing wrong with his arms. So there was no problem for him to wave at least one hand in the air and wave it around like it just didn't care. See, Matthew only tells us about the man's condition, but he never tells us how Jesus saw the man's hand. So if I could only use my baptized imagination, I want to submit to you that Jesus saw the man's hand while a praise moment was occurring. Here's a PSA. In the midst of what you are going through, sometimes you must expose it through your praise. I don't know if the man had a feeling his breakthrough was coming on this day. I don't know if the man knew that if he kept on praising God, something miraculous would happen in his life on this particular day. I just don't know. But what I do know is that if you praise God in the midst of your stuff, he will take your stuff and say, that's enough. That's enough of your hurt. That's enough of your pain. That's enough of your sorrow. That's enough of your grief. He will take your stuff and say, that's enough. Give your neighbor a high five and tell him I need to give him a that's enough praise. So Jesus sees the man. And there comes a point where he tells him to come to where he is. You know, Jesus will tell you to come to where he is. Sometimes you need to step out of your stuff and go to where he is. Because if you go to where he is, what once was will not be. So as Jesus is looking at the man, the Pharisees are looking at him. Once again, they're all up into his business so they can stir up bad business. But look at your neighbor and tell them, the Jesus that I serve is in the blessing business. As Matthew pens this scripture, he notices that the focal point is on the man. I mean, he sees, he's actually looking at Jesus, looking at this man. His direct attention is on the man. So as we wait for the next verse to be verse 13, the plan is diverted and Jesus must deal with another issue. Has anyone ever interfered with your blessing? I mean, you're on the verge of something big and someone steps in and interrupts the possibility of your promotion. This is a very frustrating state to be in because it makes us feel as though that favor is not in our favor. It makes us feel as though that the possibility is impossible. So before Jesus can say or do anything for the man, the Pharisees interrupt and pose a question to Jesus. See, this says a whole lot about who Jesus is and what he can do even in the eyes of haters. The Pharisees know about the capabilities of Jesus. Now, just knowing that he will heal the man is one thing. But when your adversaries know that you can heal, brings another dynamic to this moment. See, some people don't like you because of what you can do. Listen to what they asked Jesus. Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? So in a sense, they are saying, we know that you can do this, but is it right? We go from the potential of an immediate healing to an interruption. The text says that they are looking for a reason to accuse him. They are looking for a reason to get him, looking for a reason to shut his ministry down. They know that he can, but the hate inside of them wants to prevent him from healing him. Because if he heals him, then the man will praise him and magnify him and glorify him and be totally sold out for him. But the Pharisees don't want that for him. So they ask him, is it right to heal heal on the Sabbath? Hip-hop artist Wale said in one of his songs, as you're reaching your goals, you're going to meet you some foes. The goal of Jesus is to rectify the condition of this man. So at this moment of interruption, his goal is halted. So I want to pose a question. How does Jesus handle this interruption? I mean, these men have been following him for quite some time, and Jesus at this point may be a little irritated. So how does he remain cool when he is interrupted? As he tries to do his thing, as he tries to heal, as he tries to deliver a breakthrough, how does he handle this interruption? The text immediately goes from a potential miracle to halted progression. There are many interruptions that we may face when our breakthrough is near. So I feel the way we handle our interruptions will determine how soon we can get to what God has in store for us. And it is a necessity that we explore this text and find out how Jesus handled this situation so we can come to terms with our own. Number one, Jesus handles this interruption by evaluation. After the question from the Pharisees, Jesus must evaluate what he is dealing with. He has to come to the root and the issue that is at hand. I believe that he is dealing with some cold-hearted individuals that don't want to see any good come out of a bad situation. How many of y'all under the sound of my voice know someone like that? They have so many unresolved issues themselves that they would rather pleasure themselves in someone else's failure than to celebrate the fact that someone is being blessed. Do you know anybody like that? They are issue driven and not kingdom driven. They spy on others, but they have nothing going on for themselves. Folk like that need an evaluation. Here's another PSA for you. If you hang around Pharisees, Pharisees, they will Pharisees, Phariseeze. What a Pharisee sees, a Pharisee will seize. It will seize your dreams, seize your aspirations, seize your desires, seize your progress, and ultimately seize your life. So Jesus must evaluate why he is being interrupted. Because the Pharisees were trying to seize and cease any potential progress or manifestation. So you must evaluate the interruption. Number two, Jesus handles this interruption by definition. After Jesus evaluates these Pharisees, he must define their character. And he does that by asking them a question. It's in the text, verse 11. He said to them, if any of you has a sheep and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? See, we are the sheep of Jesus. And since he loves us, this question is posed as a reflection to something that you love. The obvious answer would be yes. You would save the fallen sheep no matter what day it was. If you see something or someone that you love that's in distress, you would do what you needed to do to get them out of that stuff. I mean, that is what you do for someone that you love. That's what you do for something that you love. These Pharisees are acting like wolves and want to wreak havoc to any possibility of someone being set free. See, the issue is not with the man. The issue is about what Jesus can do for the man. See, there is no love being displayed here, and this is why this question is posed. Why can't this man live a better life? Why can't this man be able to function normally? Where is the love in your heart? Why are you so cold-hearted? All of these questions are posed in that one question Jesus asked the Pharisees. Let's bring this home. Everyone is not going to be in your favor. Some folk will be a distraction in order for your blessing to be halted. Look, you know your breakthrough is on the way when a wolf shows up. The wolf may not even know you, but has heard about you. And just out of plain deceitfulness and just wanted to be out of order, wants to stand in the way and let you suffer. But in the Bible that I read, I turn to Romans 8 and 18. It says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. These Pharisees are defined as wolves who want to deter the sheep from getting their blessing. But just like, stay with me, but just like in the 3 little pigs, when the wolf got to the brick house, he could not blow the brick house down because the brick house was built on a solid and sure foundation. He huffed and he puffed, but he could not blow the house down. See, Jesus is our brick house. And no matter what, and no matter how many times the devil will huff and puff and try to blow our stuff down, our brick house will always be steadfast and unmovable. So tell your haters to keep on blowing hot air, because you know something about hot air? Hot air goes nowhere. Give your neighbor a high five and tell them, I'm covered by the brick house. So you must give definition to the interruption. Number 3, Jesus handled this interruption by interrogation. It's in the text right there. Look. Verse 12. Jesus asked, how much more valuable is a person than a sheep? I'm reading the New International Version of the text. And I don't know what version of the Bible you have. But there is no question mark at the end of this question. Not in the translation that I have. There was no question mark. Say it again. It's an exclamation point. So I was wondering, was there a grammatical error that wasn't caught by the proofreaders of this translation? So in doing some research, because I was going to get on the phone and call whoever wrote the New International Version of the text, I was going to call them and say, look, you made a mistake. But I found out before I called that the question is in the correct context. And it is realized that you ask a question and use an exclamation point to stress its unusuality. Jesus is asking an unusual question that ends with an exclamation point because he is dealing with some unusual people. How much more valuable is a person than a sheep? addressing the unusuality of the character of the Pharisees. And just to keep it real, there may have been another question behind this one. He may have asked them, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Jesus looks at them in their eyes, and in this form of interrogation poses this unusual question to make them realize what you ask me is not only disrespectful to me, but it's disrespectful to my Father in heaven. Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? Not only is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath, but it's lawful to heal every day. There is no rest for the weary. So I'm commissioned to heal in the name of the Lord, no matter the day or the hour. Here's my last PSA. Don't get unusual with Jesus, because he will get unusual with you. Point to your neighbor and tell them, don't get unusual with God. Don't get unusual with God. So we have explored that in order for Jesus to handle this interruption, there has to be an evaluation, definition, and interrogation. Lastly, there has to be a termination. You have to terminate what the naysayers are saying. In that one question, the Pharisees also questioned the character of Jesus. They also questioned the connection to his sheep. So Jesus has to make it known that he is about that life. And ultimately Jesus tells them, I can show you better than I can tell you. Look, it's in the text right there, verse 13. Come here, man. Pharisees, y'all look. Come here. The text says, Jesus said to the man, look, stretch your hand out. And when he stretched it out, it was completely restored. Just as sound as the other. This command was not elaborate. He did not tell him to place the good hand on the bad hand. He does not tell him to rub his hand in the closest pond near. And check this out. He does not even ask to touch the man. But the command is spoken. It's spoken to stretch it out. See, when we stretch something out, it expands. A balloon is nothing but no air to stretch it out. Muscles cannot develop without exercise to stretch them out. An athlete cannot perform at the highest level without stretching out their arms and their legs. So when a balloon is stretched out to its capacity, you can see the design or the words or the plainness of the balloon. When muscles are stretched out, you can see the definition and increased performance. So ultimately, when you stretch something out, it becomes a billboard from the work put into it. So in this context, when Jesus spoke, he spoke life into something that was not functioning. He spoke life into something that was dead. I heard the psalmist say, just let the word do the work. So when the man stretched out his hand, the text says that it was completely restored, just as sound as the other. Good morning, church. It's about time that I prepare myself to watch Cam Chancellor knock out Aaron Rodgers on today. But before I sit down, I want to let you know that sometimes the Lord is telling us we have to stretch out to get what he has for us. We have to stretch to get what we've been praying for. We have to stretch to get our heart's desires. Is there anybody in here that knows about stretching? If you're sick, stretch out toward your healing. If you're broke, stretch out toward your abundance. If you're tired, stretch out toward your rejuvenation. If you're stressed, stretch out toward your peace. If you're weak, stretch out toward your strength. If you're confused, stretch out toward your understanding. If you're in doubt, stretch out toward your hope. Because if you only stretch, the Lord will give you a sound mind. Give your neighbor a high five and tell him, I want a sound mind. See, if we look back at our points, we can come to the conclusion that if you must handle an interruption, there must be evaluation. There has to be definition. And there must be an interrogation. And there has to be termination. But if you take the first letters out of each one of those words, we can realize together what God would do for us in the time of need. Evaluation. E. Definition. D. Interrogation. I. Termination. T. E-D-I-T. God will edit your story so favor will follow you the rest of your life. He will edit your chapter 2. If your chapter 1 is jacked up, he will edit the end of the book. So when you see him face to face, he will say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. He will give your situation an evaluation. He will give your situation a definition. He will give your situation an interrogation. And he will give your situation a termination. He will edit it. He will edit it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. But there's one more thing I must mention before I take my seat. See, I'm on Twitter. I tweet at Ju Joyner. That's Twitter. And I received a tweet from Dr. Stephen Blunt on this morning. And his daddy said, if you have not wrestled with the text, don't preach it. So I went back to the text. And I looked at it over and over again. Jamal, I read every translation. Pastor Jones, I looked over and over again, and I realized, Pastor Jones, Jamal, everybody, that there is a hidden theme that arrested my attention. Sure. I mean, this revelation made me revisit some of the healings of Jesus. See, at first I went to John 4, where the official asked Jesus to heal his son. Then I went to Matthew 8, where the leper asked Jesus for healing. I wasn't finished. Then I went to Luke 7, where the centurion asked Jesus to heal his faithful servant. Then I went to Mark 5, where Jairus asked Jesus to heal his daughter. Then I went to Matthew 9, where the two blind men, you know about them, they asked Jesus to heal them. Then Jamal, I went back to our focal passage. You know, Matthew 9, Matthew 12, verses 9 through 13. I went back there. And I compared it to the other verses I read. And there was not one time that the man with the withered hand ever asked Jesus for anything. So I stopped by here to let you know that sometimes it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time to get what God has for you. God is ready to bless you, and you haven't even asked him for anything. Not only that, he will stretch you out in the midst of the very ones who initially tried to block your blessing. So you must realize you are standing on Luke 20:43, where God said he will make your enemies your footstool. In Psalm 23 it says, he will set up a table before you in the presence of your haters. Look at your neighbor, tell him I'm being stretched. Are you ready to go a little bit higher? I'm about to take my seat, but I want to let you know that you are about to blow up. You are getting ready to go to the next level. You're about to shift gears. You're about to take off, and you're about to soar. Are you ready to fly? Let's strap up. Hold on to your seat. You're about to take off. Let me warn you, the flight may be a little bit bumpy. Just hold on. You may hit a little turbulence. Just hold on. It may be a little shaky. Just hold on. Just a little while longer. And he will level you off and take you to a place of peace. He will take you to a place of joy. He will take you to a place of love. He will take you to a place of satisfaction. I know the Lord will make a way. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Ain't no secret what God can do. When he's done for others, he will do for you too. Say yeah. Say yeah.